Today's episode of Dungeon Crawlers Radio is brought to you by Gamers Inn, your one-stop location for all your gaming needs. Located in Lehigh City, Utah, their fun and friendly staff will be more than happy to answer any of your gaming needs. Just remember, Gamers Inn, it's where adventures begin.
It's time to power up.
Autobots, roll out! Broadcasting live from the DCR studio.
Oh yeah!
The Geek Revolution starts here.
Excellent!
Get ready for the #1 hit geek radio show out there.
Well, it is impressive, isn't it?
Because it's time for Dungeon Crawlers Radio. Let's get ready to rumble!
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Alright everyone, welcome to another episode of Dungeon Crawlers. We are here with Aaron Michael Ritchie helping me co-host and talking to Quincy Allen, the man that is behind several awesome books that, well, I'll let him explain, but most importantly, he is one of the authors in the upcoming Monster Hunter Files anthology, which is just awesome. You guys know Larry, he's been on the show before, so we'll kind of talk about that, and then we'll talk about all the other projects and other books he has out there. So, Monster Hunter Files, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so Monster Hunter Files, I was fortunate enough, this would have been last year, early last year, or was the year before? Anyway, Brian Thomas Schmidt, who is the editor on that project and working with Larry, had reached out to me and asked me if I was interested in submitting. He was actually the editor on Chemical Burn and the Blood War books. He's been my editor at Wordfire, come to think of it. And he's done a really good job with that. So he said, hey, Quincy, would you like to submit a story potentially for Larry Correa's Monster Hunters short story anthology we're doing? And it took me about a nanosecond to say, yes, please, because that was a huge deal for me. I'm so stoked to be involved with the project. Sent my story along, and both Brian and Larry seemed to like it. And so now it's going to be history making. It comes out, I believe, officially October 3rd this year. The hard copy's available for pre-order right now. I even ordered a copy.
Yeah, I jumped on that.
Yeah.
Hold on. Oh, right. Quincy J. Allen.
Yes.
So what does the J stand for?
That's a trade secret, but not really. No. Julian, actually.
Why Julian?
Somebody liked it.
Quincy Julian. Girl.
By the way, this is the first time that's ever been said in public. Right here. This is an exclusive.
On Dungeon Crawlers.
Yeah.
Right, on Dungeon Crawlers, right. And
Julian.
Julian.
That name.
No, I kind of like it, right? It's got Quincy Julian Allen. It's got a nice kind of ring to it. It flows.
So in your story, in the Monster Hunters anthology.
It's Monster Hunters Files.
Monster Hunters File.
Yeah.
Now, tell me about what was the idea? So when Larry said, "Hey, you want to write a story?" and you're like, "Yeah." So where did the idea come from? How did it all play out?
So it was actually a week or two after that. I'm like, well, what am I going to write? I don't know, because I'd read the first 3 and I loved them. I was actually driving the Wordfire truck from Denver to Los Angeles and I think it was the one in L.A. It might have been Anaheim.
It was either the Stan Lee one.
Oh, the Kamikaze.
It was either Kamikaze or the one in Anaheim. I can't remember.
So many Comic-Cons.
There are. So I was literally driving through the desert, and it was dusk, and there's an area, it's Goblin Hills National Park.
Oh, okay.
All right, it's a really neat place. I did some research out, and right after that is Black Dragon, I believe National Park or Desert or something, which I didn't do research on, but I'm probably going to. If I get to, work with these guys again, right? Because that would be cool. So I had this idea. It's like, okay, Goblin Hills. Well, and I had Monster Hunters on the head, or on my mind. It makes perfect sense that no, they don't get the name because of the rock formations. It's because goblins live there.
Yeah.
And then so one thing led to another, and then I came up with these two. It's really kind of a rite of passage and a passing of the torch to
these two brothers.
Yeah. Yep, twin brothers who are about to turn 18, and they have been prohibited by their kick butt mother, who she trained them, and their now dead father's best friend just trained them. They learned to fight, they learned to shoot, they learned all this stuff.
Yeah.
But they were told never, ever, ever, ever go to the Goblin Hills. Right? So
And they do.
Yes, the day before their 18th birthday, they go out there on dirt bikes, and then they discover something, and
Nice.
and one thing leads to another, and then so it's a lot of
Okay,
fun.
we want to talk about your other projects, but
Yeah.
tell me first about the guns.
The guns
in this story,
okay,
right?
so there's some really cool weapons that came out of that. Writers often talk about how we're actually on the lists, for government lists, watch lists.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Because of your Google searches.
Exactly right. In this
Yeah.
case, I was Googling homemade napalm and Russian assault shotguns.
Sweet. I understand when I was writing my book, I was like looking up, bombs and RPGs and stuff like that. And I had several friends are like, you really want that on your computer? I'm like, it's for research.
It's for my job. This is it.
Yeah.
This is what I do.
I need to know so I can explain how it
Exactly.
realistically works.
Correct.
Because if I just say something weird, yeah.
The homemade gasoline thing was kind of cool because can I? Yeah, right. So all you need to do
It's
is
Larry Correa, right?
right.
Yeah.
You take like a 5-gallon can of gasoline, and then you have to get the right kind of the styrofoam paper plates, picnic plates.
Okay.
Tear them up and just drop them right in there, and literally the gasoline melts the polymer, and it turns into this goo, and you have napalm.
Don't
Wow.
try this at home.
Do not try it at home, folks.
Because so.
But,
and you can find that on
That's
Google
not,
if you want.
Well, yeah, it's not surprising. Someone out there has done it.
I've heard you can do it with orange juice as well, but orange juice has water in it, which would have a deleterious effect on the flammability of your napalm. So I would recommend,
Yeah.
of course, the plastic. The foam
Recommend
plates.
using the word deleterious. That's what I'm
as
saying.
often as possible. I know. I try to work that in all
Well,
the
I
time.
mean,
That's like a $12 word.
It is. The cool thing about the Monster Hunter universe is they take modern day, but just simple things like that, and you can turn it around on its head. I mean, like in the first book where they're talking about going to the Enchanted Forest, and it's a trailer park full of elves that are redneck hillbillies. But that's the fun part is they twist it around, and you can do stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really clever stuff. Larry's done a marvelous job with a lot of that stuff.
And it's really easy for someone to jump into that sandbox and just say, okay, that sounds awesome, and then turn it into something.
Yeah, you can make it. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's fertile soil for a writer. It really
Well,
has
and
been.
not only that, I mean, he really just kind of focuses on North America. I know he's kind of branching out, but I mean, there's the endless possibilities for everyone else.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I-
Well, I know the anthology actually. If you take a look at the cover, the it's a woman on the cover. I don't think it's a woman. It looks like from I believe Japanese lore. It looks like a nine-tailed fox spirit. Take
Huh.
a close look.
I'll
I
have to
think
look
that's
at
what
it.
it is. And she's got black hair. She's got a katana and a whip.
Yeah.
Kind of tawdry. But it looks awesome.
Yeah, it
I
does.
can't wait to see it. And actually the new cover will be coming out. They've got to put the names on it and stuff. It is an all-star, well, except for me, all-star list of
Don't
authors.
get yourself short. I
Up
mean,
and coming.
it was awesome
Rising
enough
star.
for Larry
Yes.
to pick it out.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest. And this is also being released by Bane, right?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
it is the first of the, and I'm hoping they do more, but it's the first of the Bane short story anthologies in Larry's universe.
Yeah.
We'd love to see more. Yes, please.
Yes.
Larry,
Yeah.
if you're listening, more, please.
I'm sure he has plans.
I hope so.
Yeah. So the other series you put out, the Blood War Chronicles, which is Blood Ties, and Blood Curse, which is steampunk.
Well,
With
yes
a
and
twist.
no. It's more of epic fantasy, paranormal fiction set in the Old West, and with clockwork stuff.
Okay.
But it's more about the paranormal and the fantasy side. It really is. By the end of the series, it's a full-on epic fantasy. The main character, who is a clockwork gunslinger, he's a veteran of the Civil War. He sees his first dragon in Roswell, New Mexico, in book 2. So by book 2, it's full-on just fantasy weirdness. But it starts in the Old West, which is kind of
And
fun.
the guns in that book.
Yeah, there's some cool. Oh, yeah, there's a quad Gatling gun turret
my
on his
God.
El
flip.
Diablo.
That is
See?
awesome.
Yeah, it is. I love
No,
writing
but
that
you're not going
sign.
to talk about
Let's
his
see.
magic. His magic.
Oh well, so yeah, Colt. So he's a character. For anybody old enough, he will be a moderate take on the $6 Million Man.
Okay.
He's got one arm, both legs, and his eye, coincidentally. But he also has, so all of that was imbued with magic by the witch that worked with the tinkerer that created his limbs. And that's part of, I mean, in this world, there was never the Inquisition, so witches still exist in this world. And that's essentially good tinkers will partner with a witch, and then you get all kinds of stuff. Artificial limbs become possible.
Nice.
And then he does have a 6-shooter. Basically, it's the original Colt piece. It was originally the Peacemaker. This has been blazoned the Peacekeeper. And the premise is that the guy who gave Jake his limbs is the guy who actually gave Colt the plans for the Peacemaker that ruled the West way back when. He has the original, and it's magic.
Interesting.
Which is, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I like the twist where, the witches weren't put to trial and killed. Now they're around and they're helping the Tinkers, and there's magic imbued and guns. Oh.
It's a very different world than we would remember.
But it's has
recognizable.
But it's starts off in Denver.
Yeah.
And their journey to San Francisco.
Yes.
And they wind up in
Roswell, New Mexico.
But Roswell, New Mexico is part of the free.
They're part of the free territories. Yeah. So the premise is that the Blood War really has to do with the Empire of Texas. There was a war profiteer who you find out he's kind of Jake's nemesis, sort of. He and a bunch of the rebels who didn't want to surrender all went from the south to Texas. Mm-hmm. They created an empire, closed the borders, and they were allowed to in this timeline. And then basically they discover what's in Roswell, and they start this war to kind of gain possession of it. And the Free Territories is kind of a Star Trekian-esque utopia of sorts. Okay. And there's cultures from all over the world, literally, that are concentrated in what they discover in Roswell.
Wow.
It's complicated.
I like how you have a dragon in Roswell because,
where else would you find one, right?
We think, there's UFOs and stuff like that. It makes sense now.
Exactly.
You're seeing flashy, glittery things. It's actually dragons. Yeah.
That's right.
It makes total sense. And that's why they're keeping people away.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Big dangerous.
No, it's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
I love that. And then you also have Chemical Burn.
Yes.
Which I've seen you at cons trying to, it's like every Deadpool walks up like, hey, this is a book for you.
Deadpool and the Punisher. That's for, at the show, that's my target market.
Yeah.
And that's my first novel. There will be 2 more at least, once I can get to writing them. Mm-hmm. It is a standalone mystery. It's a alien ex-government assassin turned private detective in L.A., and he basically makes a lot of jokes and kills everybody.
Nice.
It's a lot of bloodletting and wisecracks. And coffee.
Which is why you target those Punisher.
Exactly, right? I mean, it's a natural fit.
If they love those guys, it's
they'll
perfect.
like this guy.
Yeah.
So what was the original inspiration for Chemical Burn?
Chemical Burn? That goes back to college. Way back when, all of this came from me and a buddy of mine, Rob Cascaden, if you're listening, this one's for you. We were sitting and drinking, which we never did in college. Okay, so we did that. And we might have had a few at the time, and we just were shooting the breeze, and we came up with this idea, this scene of a private detective getting thrown out of an airplane, landing in a swimming pool in Hollywood, getting up out of the pool like uninjured, and then taking out a cigarette and starting to smoke it. I don't know why or how we came up with that.
Sounds awesome, though.
Yeah, well, so that scene is actually in the book.
It starts off.
It pretty much, yeah. It opens up with him getting thrown out of an airplane, and then you start to it's all about why he got thrown out of the airplane and so forth. So it all started there, and then it was years later. Well, actually, it would have been 15 or more years later. I decided I'm going to be a writer, and so it started with that one drunken bender.
Nice.
As it happens.
As that
happens.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
That just started the creative juices, and it just locked in there till you just
it
put it down on
apparently
pages.
seared it into my brain.
And one reviewer called Chemical Burn, it has a higher bod count. It has the highest body count of any mystery
other thriller.
Yeah,
it's on the cover of the book now.
Is it? That's awesome.
Achieves a higher body count than any other action thriller she'd read. It was on Mystery Scene, and basically when I first read that, I was cheering in my office.
Oh yeah,
because I win.
Yeah. I mean, if that stood out enough for
It
someone
did.
to say that,
Yeah,
that's a
great.
win.
Well, I remember one of the original beta readers. This is going back a few years. So everybody was enjoying the story, loved the character. Then I'd supplied, I don't know, 6 or 7 chapters. And one of the readers, a rather, I'll say, normal, dare I say, motherlesque woman, who was, I don't even remember what she was writing at the time, but she was not happy with the character and did, in fact, describe him as a sociopath. So,
Nice.
yeah,
With the heart of gold.
No, she never got to the heart of gold part. She just thought he was crazy
And guns.
should be put in jail.
What gun does Justin Case have?
Justin does not use a gun. He hates guns. Right?
Wow.
He hates getting shot too, which also happens in the book. Yeah, he actually has. It's a weapon from home. It's sort of a double-bladed. It's like a cross between a stiletto, a hook blade, and combat knuckles, and he uses those. And it's a vibroblade, and he just severs limbs and opens up bellies and.
But no guns.
Sweet.
He did well. So he hates guns, but if he has to,
He'll use them.
he'd rather not.
No, but I liked it because in the first chapter, because he's not human.
No.
And he's kind of invulnerable except for
Yes, he's got a weakness.
one thing.
Every hero has to have,
Yeah.
some kryptonite. So he's got that. Well, he technically has 2. Technically. And then
But you're not
going
gonna tell us.
Oh, heavens
No, they gotta read the
now
book.
you got to read the
right.
book.
You gotta read the book
He's
to
got
find
2
out.
kryptonites. One is less obvious than the other, but it kind of comes out in the end.
Nice.
And he does have a heart of gold. Right? He's a nice guy.
Just like you, Quincy.
There's some touching
it's just,
scenes
it's
in
just
there.
in disguise.
Yes. He
Well,
does
if you-
also coincidentally have a mohawk.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's Mohawk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only character I has.
Everyone everyone that was around in the 80s, they loved Mr. T and
Yeah.
B.A. Baracus.
That's
and
right.
Winnie the Pooh. Yeah.
So do I.
Quincy
Okay.
J. Allen does have a Mohawk.
In fact,
He does.
have a mohawk.
Now, and you also did the Penny Dread Tales,
Yes, I did.
and the best
Yeah,
of is from
yes.
Wordfire Press.
Correct. Yeah. So I'd done 4 volumes of Penny Dread Tales over the years. That was when I was first getting started. It's, each one of those has an assortment of authors. Because I was the editor and could put one of my own stories in there. But there's actually some really neat stories in there. All 4 volumes. Volume 2 had a lot of international stuff. I took authors from all over. Obviously the U.S., the U.K., I think Peru, Czech Republic, Canada, Poland, United Arab Emirates,
Wow.
all over the place. And of course, Aaron Michael Ritchie does have my favorite take on a Jack the Ripper story, actually of all time. That's not
Okay, I
hyperbole.
need to read it now.
It's in the best of, and
Yeah,
it's the secret history of Jack the Ripper as it relates to the player piano.
Yeah.
And
Jack the Ripper as a character in history is amazing, and all the stories that are around, but half the stuff you have to wonder, is this really true? Is this fake?
How much
Because
was
we don't
made
know.
up?
We don't really know because
Nobody has
of,
any idea.
of it's just so obscure with him.
Yeah.
So-
it is.
And so this
And-
is a steampunk version of Jack.
Yeah, and
Nice.
I describe it as beautiful gore. There's a scene in there. I keep begging Aaron to let me write a screenplay with him for this because. Did you ever see a Blade, the original
Yeah.
Blade, right? So the scene at the rave at the beginning of the movie
Okay.
where they do that camera technique where the blood droplets
Yeah.
are suspended in the air. There's a scene in this that would be perfect for that.
Wow.
It would, like I said, cinematographically,
Deleterious.
Cinematography.
it would be
Something like that.
beautiful,
Yeah.
right? And you have the Victorian dress, and oh my dude, I'm telling you, that would be an award-winning scene.
So hold on. So you did the steampunk anthologies.
Yep.
You did Chemical Burn, which
Yep.
is kind of paranormal, violent mystery thriller.
Not
you-
paranormal, it's light sci-fi,
Sci-fi,
detective
light
noir, a lot of
sci-fi.
noir
Yeah.
in there. It's done in that voice.
Okay.
So steampunk high fantasy,
Yes,
and then you're doing urban fantasy. So you describe yourself as a cross-genre author.
absolutely. It's mostly because of my ADHD, right? So what's over there, it's over here. Yeah, I write everything. My short fiction is all over the place. I've tried to dabble in just about every fiction genre I can. I've done ghost stories, I've done horror, I've done Western, paranormal. I am beginning, there's nothing formal yet, but I'm beginning to dabble even in romance. That should be
Amish romance with guns.
Well,
entertaining.
the really cool thing about doing it that way is you're not getting pigeonholed into a genre, but you're also flexing your writing muscles.
Yeah.
Because when you jump to a different genre, it's completely different.
Yep, that's true.
So
You do use
that's
different
good.
voice, different vocabulary, different feel. Now, I will say that much of what I've done there's been a lot of steampunk.
Okay.
I think part of it is just I grew up watching the old West, the Westerns and stuff.
Yeah, that's what we talked about. We talked with
you know,
Wild Wild
Aaron.
West.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Wild Wild West, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Mm-hmm.
My Name is Nobody is another one that most people never heard of.
I don't know.
It was a late 70s vintage Italian, sort of spaghetti Western. Henry Fonda was in it. You should watch that. You'd like
What
it.
about Ombre?
I did see that. Saw Ombre. Once Upon a Time in the West was an interesting film.
That was
is a
very
neat
interesting.
film.
It's actually on Netflix right now.
Yeah,
if you
that's
wanna
where-
go
Man,
back and
that's
watch
long.
It is.
It is, and it's kind of slow too. And every time, what is his name again?
Charles Bronson?
Charles Bronson got on with that weird harmonica thing.
Yeah, I
It's
know,
like,
right?
What? Why are we doing this? Every time you show up.
Well, all of that was for one scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for the end, right? Which
Yeah.
is cool. One of my favorite films of all time is The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. There is a
Great
fair
film.
amount of Blondie in Jake.
Yeah.
He's got
Jake Lasseter from the Blood War
from
Chronicles.
Yeah, there's a lot of Blondie in there. Certainly, a little bit of Josie Wales is in there too. Obviously, I liked Clint Eastwood's films.
Oh, no,
I even liked
they're
Paint
great.
Your Wagon. It's his singing debut. Most people don't know that.
So Monster Hunter Files is coming out in October. You can pre-order it now.
Yes,
Yeah.
my
Now-
first hardback. Well, actually, technically not, but
But then on the horizon is Colt the Outlander.
correct. That is so the Aradio brothers, Dom and RC, and their buddy, a good friend of theirs, Dante, way back when they'd done this comic that ended up in Heavy Metal magazine.
Okay.
The name of the character is Colt the Outlander, and it's interesting because they, in many respects, created the feel, the setting that gave us things like Borderlands, Wildstar, even Mad Max Fury Road, and the original Mad Max stuff. It's got that feel. They describe it as, and it's a good description, as Star Wars meets Mad Max.
Okay.
Is the Colt the Outlander series. He's this big burly kick butt bounty hunter on a planet called Neb 6, where technology, for very specific reasons, doesn't work the way we would think it does. There's this force that keeps a lot of normal tech, computers and stuff, from working now. That civilization, over the course of 100 or plus years, had figured out workarounds so that they do have some robots. They do have air jets and stuff, but it's complicated. And then he actually is partnered up with two very deadly lady bounty hunters. So it's Colt, Jenna and Bren. And so basically these guys wanted to get that property, Colt the Outlander, kind of up and running again, because hard heavy metal isn't quite where it used to be. So,
Yeah.
and so they're doing kind of a full court press. What they wanted to do was have at least one, I believe they're targeting like 3 novels to kind of bring this up and get it rolling. And they asked me to write the first one because they'd enjoyed Chemical Burn. I was honored to be asked to do that. So that's what I've been working on. We're on a writer's retreat, and I was trying to get that done. I'm really close now to wrapping that up. Once I do, I'll send it to them, and then we should see that hopefully this summer. Would be marvelous. We'll see.
fast turnaround.
Oh, so even before Monster Hunter Files.
I would love for it to be that way. It'll depend on basically when I wrap up my work, which, like I said, is around the corner. Then they've got to go through, do their final
Editing
reviews,
process and stuff like that.
which will count as a developmental edit essentially. And then I'll apply those edits, go through them, and then we'll ship it to Wordfire, who is the publisher. And we certainly have high hopes for that. It's been a privilege to be able to work with this. I love the character and the world. It's a lot of fun. They were gracious enough to let me sort of help them establish some of their lore, which was kind of cool. It was neat talking with the inventors of the creators of a property and contributing to that in small bits and pieces here, which was really kind of a neat exercise. Neat experience as a writer is to be able to do that.
That's almost like, in a way, being asked to write for Star Wars and saying, "Ooh, I'm the person that did that."
Yeah.
Like with Timothy Zahn. I mean, if it wasn't for him, there wouldn't be a Coruscant or a
Correct.
Thrawn or anything
Or
like
Thrawn.
that. So yeah.
Right, Thrawn is the best villain in Star Wars by far.
So where can the listeners find you and your books?
So for me, it's quincyallen.com or quincyjallen.com.
Okay.
That'll get you to my page, which I have all my books listed there, and that includes actually virtually all of the anthologies that I'd been in when I was first getting started. So this is going back about 8 years now. I recently updated the site and the list of books so that they're all available. So that's that. You can find me on Facebook. Friend me up, please. I talk to folks when I can if I'm not, heads down working. I do Twitter, but I don't tweet. My voice is too deep for tweeting.
Yeah.
So, thank you. Facebook.
And there's that annoying word limit or
exactly
character.
right, and I can't.
We're novelists.
I
That's kind of
can't
brutal.
exist
I
in
hate
that
it.
space.
I know. It's like, okay, how do I shrink that to 140 characters?
I just need like 18 tweets in a row, and with no interruptions. Can I do that? How do I set that up? So, primarily it's my website and Facebook. Quincy Allen, author, I think it is. But just Google Quincy J, or not Google. Go on Facebook, search for Quincy Allen.
And look for the
Quincy J.
Mohawk.
Yes.
And you'll see that.
Now, Quincy also next month is going to have a story in my world, the Juniper Wars, about a heartbreaking story about boys who are imprisoned by these women bandits.
Yeah, female bandits. So it's kind of a different take on kind of the old harem sort of motif,
but turned upside down.
Yes,
sweet.
And it's brutal and heartbreaking.
It's a little dark.
But that final scene, though, man, and the clinking of the chains, and
it's dark.
It's a great story.
Yeah, thank you. I had fun writing that. That was cool.
Dang it, another thing I have to read.
That's short. The short story.
It's free though, right?
And it's free. Yeah, I'm giving away the
around.
short stories and the Juniper Wars for free.
Yeah, I'm going to promote the hell out of that too.
Even a bigger reason to go to Aaron's website. You can get the free books and the stories to check out if you like.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones.
The Juniper War stories,
and
then follow Quincy. Pick up his books because you're definitely going to love those and enjoy those.
Thank you.
As well as Monster Hunter. It's always awesome.
It is.
But this story sounds amazing.
It's so much fun.
So you got that in October. So there's plenty to read between picking up Aaron's books and Quincy's books. You have enough to read for the summer.
And Dan's book coming out.
Yes, June 6th. So I'm excited.
Share that with me, and I will share the heck out of it.
Will do.
Because that's what I do.
Totally. Right. So can we pre-order your book, Dan?
I'll find out next week.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Cool.
Yes, please.
All right, folks. With that said, we're out of here, and we'll catch you next time.